Hi, I'm Michael Dalto. I'm a consultant to the Maryland Division of Rehabilitation Services, or DOORS. You might have heard a lot of misinformation or scary messages about what happens if you receive SSI and you go to work. You might even be afraid to think about going to work. There are some great safety nets known as work incentives that can provide protection for you while you're going to work and receiving SSI to ensure that you're going to be better off working than not working. First of all, what is SSI? SSI is a cash benefit that you can receive from Social Security if you have a disability that's pretty significant and limits your ability to work but does not prevent you from working, or you can be at least age 65 years old, and you have to have income and assets below certain limits. If you get SSI, any amount, even the minimum $1 a month in a payment, you're automatically eligible for a medical benefit called Medicaid. It's also known as medical assistance. When you go to work while receiving SSI, it can be frightening. It can feel like a high wire act. But luckily, these safety nets, known as work incentives, provide protection for your benefits as you're working. The work incentives always make sure that you have more money working than not working. They can enable you in many cases to keep higher SSI payments while you work than you would otherwise receive. They protect your medical benefits even if you earn enough to bring your SSI payments down to zero. They can enable you to get your cash benefits back again if you've worked your way off them and then your earnings drop or stop without having to reapply and start all over again. The first safety net is you're always better off working than not working if you get SSI. As your earnings go up, your SSI will go down, but not dollar for dollar. Social Security reduces your SSI by less than half the amount of your gross wages or your net self-employment earnings. For example, if you receive the full SSI benefit and you start working, you can earn up to this amount and still receive $1 of SSI. As you can see, your income will be much higher than if you didn't work. Here's an example. Marshawn started out receiving only SSI, and he received the full benefit. He started working 20 hours a week. Next, he worked 30 hours a week. Finally, he got a better job working full-time, 40 hours a week, and earning a higher hourly wage. This chart shows that Marshawn's net income continually increases as his earnings increase. His net income after taxes is substantially higher working 20 hours a week than not working at all. It's significantly higher than that working 30 hours a week, and substantially higher if he works 40 hours a week. Even though working 40 hours a week, his SSI payment would be reduced to zero. You're always better off working than not working when you receive SSI. If you receive SSI and you go to work, there are special rules you may be able to use that could enable you to keep higher SSI payments than you otherwise would. For example, if you're a student in school or in vocational training and you're age 21 or younger, you have not yet reached your 22nd birthday, you may be able to use a work incentive called the Student Earned Income Exclusion, which can enable you to earn thousands of dollars a year without your SSI being reduced at all. If you pay for disability-related expenses that are needed at least partly for work, those are known as impairment-related work expenses, those can be subtracted from your earnings to keep your SSI payments higher. Examples might be accessible transportation to and from work, medical services, medical equipment and supplies, assistive technology, accommodations to enable you to get physical access to a building, therapy, attendance services, and others. If you meet Social Security's definition of blindness, you can use a safety net called blind work expenses. This lets you deduct from your earnings almost all of your work-related expenses, even those that have nothing to do with your blindness. You can even deduct the cost of meals that you eat on the job and taxes withheld from your pay. This can enable you to keep significantly more SSI while you're working. Finally, there's a work incentive called PASS, that stands for Plan for Achieving Self-Support. This is an agreement you write up with Social Security that lays out a work goal for you to increase your earnings or begin working, and it lays out the expenses that you need to pay for to reach that goal. That could be transportation, even buying a vehicle, getting a computer, tools, equipment, uniforms, training, education, etc. The PASS enables you to pay for those expenses, which get subtracted from your earnings by Social Security, and that enables you to get more SSI, in many cases even the full SSI, while you're working and pursuing your goal, rather than having it reduced. What you're probably wondering is, I understand how I'll be better off working if I still keep my SSI, but what happens if I earn enough that my SSI gets reduced to zero? Does that mean I lose my Medicaid, my medical assistance, as well? Luckily, you don't. There is a double safety net that's known as 1619B that provides protection if your earnings go up high enough to reduce your SSI payment to zero. 1619B says this: if your earnings go up high enough that your SSI is reduced to zero, you still stay eligible for SSI. 1619B is SSI without the payments. That accomplishes two things. Number one, you get to keep your Medicaid, your medical assistance, and that can continue indefinitely. And number two, if your earnings later drop low enough, or if they stop, you can get your SSI payments back again just by calling Social Security. You do not have to reapply and start over from scratch. It's a great double safety net, and it can continue indefinitely. You can be eligible for 1619B if you're earning a substantial amount of money, up to this amount in a year. You still have to keep your resources or assets below the limit for SSI, just as if you were receiving SSI payments. You have to continue to need Medicaid. You can meet that requirement just by using it once a year. And there can't be other reasons that you lost your SSI besides earnings. If you had too much other income from sources other than earnings, if your disability improved, you would not be eligible for 1619B. Suppose your earnings are high enough that you're not even eligible for 1619B anymore. Does that mean you lose your SSI permanently? Not necessarily. Even at that point, Social Security gives you an extra 12-month safety net. During that time, if your earnings drop low enough, you can still get your benefits back again without having to reapply. And suppose you're earning too much for 1619B for more than a year. What happens then? Well, if your earnings later drop or stop, then you can still get your benefits back again more quickly and easily, although not as easily as just calling Social Security. You've got a safety net known as Expedited Reinstatement. With Expedited Reinstatement, you can ask for your SSI back again, and while you're waiting for a decision from Social Security, they'll give you SSI payments while you wait for up to 6 months. They'll do a medical review to make sure you have not medically improved, and if you have not medically improved, you'll be able to continue to get the SSI payments. It usually takes just a few months to get an answer for Expedited Reinstatement, so it's usually a lot faster than if you apply for benefits from scratch. Another safety net is called the Ticket to Work. The Ticket to Work enables you to hire an organization without having to pay them to give you help to get and keep employment. Your Ticket to Work can be assigned to either DOORS, or after your case with DOORS has been closed, to another agency known as an employment network. And they're obligated to give you services to help you get or keep employment. To find an employment network to help you continue getting services after your case with Doors is closed, you can go to this website. Another benefit of the Ticket to Work, in addition to the employment services, is that in some cases it can protect you from medical reviews from Social Security. When you get Social Security disability benefits, Social Security will periodically do a medical review to see if you have medically improved or medically recovered. If they find that you have medically recovered, then your benefits can stop. You're no longer eligible for them. The medical reviews usually happen once every 1 to 7 years, depending on how likely it is Social Security thinks that your disability will improve. However, if your Ticket to Work is assigned to either Doors or an employment network, and if you are meeting certain criteria called timely progress, then Social Security is not allowed to do a medical review. And if they're not allowed to do a medical review, then they can't find you to have medically recovered, and your benefits would be protected. Timely progress usually involves certain levels of employment and or education. When your ticket is assigned to Doors or an employment network, Social Security will periodically send you paperwork so that you can verify whether you're meeting the timely progress requirements. It's very important that you complete and return that paperwork. That can help protect you from medical reviews. So, a lot of safety nets, a lot to keep track of. Luckily, you're not expected to be an expert on this, but you can get help from an expert to understand exactly how different levels of earnings might affect your SSI and other benefits, and how to use the safety nets known as work incentives. A benefits counselor can be hired by your Doors counselor. They're specially trained to help you understand the impact of earnings on your benefits and to use the work incentives.